If you struggle with core control, abdominal activation, not using your neck or your back, then this video is for you. I'm going to go over 3 main ways to help you use your core, use your abdominals more specifically better. This will activate to help support your back, support your neck for life. One of the first things we're going to go over is breath. Breath is one of the most primitive things that we can go back to, that it's hard to manipulate and hard to change. And when I say hard to manipulate, hard to change, this means that if you have pain from a back injury, from a neck injury, from a hip issue, usually breath work can help you go back to the basics that you were born with to use your core the best way possible. It changes your movement patterns. A lot of times whenever we are growing up, either whether this is from just looking at other people and not wanting to have a bigger belly, or from, as I said before, back injury, other things that have caused you to have this different breathing pattern, our breath work can connect back to it. And so as you start to connect your breath work to it, then you can feel your abdominal muscles helping you. One of your abdominal muscles, like the external obliques, the transverse abdominis, and also your internal obliques, they help with your expelling of air, your breathing out. And so we can connect to that to help you use these muscles better. Also, when we think of breath work and breathing in, it kind of is a relaxation of our pelvic floor, a relaxation of our core, both back and front, but is an activation of our diaphragm. And so as we think about our core is a cylinder. It has a top, our diaphragm, it has a bottom, our pelvic floor, and it has the walls. The walls are the front part of our core that we have here, our front part of our abdominal muscles that we have here. We have our rectus abdominis, this is the front part, the six-pack muscles. We have our deeper core muscles that are basically your obliques, internal, external, your transverse abdominis, and then we also have that connects in, those come around our body and connect into a fascia sheath in the back. We also have our lats that come down to help. We have our multifidus that connect into the spine, some of our erector spinae. We have our glutes that also are part of the core. People don't think about those as part of the core, but they do. They connect in and help too, because they connect into that fascia sheath. And we also have our pelvic floor. And so breathing helps with kind of a movement pattern of these. Because a lot of times whenever we have movement dysfunctions, movements that aren't working right for us, it's that we're not either turning things on in the right order, we are turning 2 things on that need to not be on at the same time, aka if our pelvic floor is tucking up and in while we're trying to breathe our diaphragm down, well, that's not going to help with our pressure control of what's happening in here. And so we're going to have to do other things. Also, when it comes to being able to turn a muscle on versus off, that helps you with patterning of activation. It's like if I try to do a bicep curl, but I couldn't turn my bicep off to bring my wrist down to then curl again. I'm not going to be able to strengthen it as well then because I'm not moving it through its range. And so the breath work helps with all of those things. It helps with that connection to what muscles you're turning on and off, helps you to realize what's turning on and off, and also it helps to turn on muscles that may be lacking a little bit for your brain to abdominal function. You're going to be doing kind of this longer inhale where you feel your pelvic floor relaxing. It kind of sags down towards your knees if your knees are below, or sags down away from your diaphragm, away from your trunk basically, and relaxes your abs, and you're going to feel kind of a breath going down into your stomach. We're not trying to breathe up into our chest as much. You will some. It's hard to not breathe any through your chest because it's natural to do that part. But we need to also engage our diaphragm, which brings it down because it's usually in this like upright position here. And when you contract something, then that makes it shorter, right? Like bicep, it connects down to my elbow. So this is the lengthened position. And then whenever I shorten it, that's what pulls my forearm to come up to me. And so same thing here, if our diaphragm is up and then we shorten it, then it will contract and go down into a lower position. Hence, it helps you to breathe in because it's pulling air down and giving more space and giving this kind of moving some of the pressure down into our lower abdomen here or lower trunk. And so as you breathe in, that long inhale, belly comes out, pelvic floor relaxes, back relaxes, and then as you breathe out, you are going to force that exhale out by breathing through a small hole in your lips. Kind of think if you were like blowing out candles on a birthday cake. You are really trying to force that air out. As you force this air out, you should feel these muscles coming in and contracting. They're going to be, as I said, shortening. They're going to be contracting and drawing inward. Also, your pelvic floor will draw up to help contract and push that air out. That's why they're breathing muscles. They're accessory breathing muscles to help you with that. Because if you just breathe out normally, you don't really need them. That's why they're accessory. Also, hence why you have to blow out through that small hole. Another way, if you have difficulty with the small hole, is grab a straw. Restaurants give them out still. I don't know if you use them or not. You may or you may not. I snag them and I use them with my clients. And so if you breathe out through that straw, then you will feel these guys contracting. This is the best way of resetting your brain to what it feels like to have your obliques, internal, external, and also your transverse abdominis, your pelvic floor engage and tighten. It's going to focus more on here because those are the ones that help you with breathing out. It's not going to engage your back muscles because those aren't supposed to help you with breathing out. Those are just helping you with posture through this, and it shouldn't be too much of a difference of you in different positions. And so try this on your back. Take that deep breath in, exhale out. You'll feel what happens in your body. You can also feel the pressure of your body on the table. You also want to do this on your side. Make sure your neck and head are supported in this. And you'll feel that as you breathe in, kind of your belly contents will fall to one side. And then as you breathe out, you'll kind of suck them back up and press them in because your obliques are activating and drawing in. And it's no longer just loose there. It's no longer relaxed. So it's going to help you with that first initial movement. Now, once you get it in those positions, go to kneeling. Go to a hip hinge kneeling. All of these different things to help with engaging and activating your abdominal muscles with your breath. Then you'll understand how you can use this for your lifts, for your other exercises that help you with that control aspect. And so you can engage these when you're doing a deadlift. You can engage these when you're doing your squats to support your back, to support your body. That is number one. Tip number one. Long, lengthy, but so important for using your breath to understanding how you can actually use these muscles on, off, and coordinating them together, which is super important for you. Number two is that we tend to use our neck muscles a lot when we want to activate our core. A lot of times people say, oh, my neck hurts after I've done these different core exercises, and they don't involve a head lift at all. So the key is that you're using your neck to help support and activate your trunk, which also tends to mean that you're using more of your uppermost abdominals instead of your lowermost abdominals. And the reason why we kind of separate these two, it's not that you're only going to use your lower abs or only going to use your upper abs. It's that it kind of changes in percentages. And a lot of people have more difficulty with activating and using their lowermost abdominal muscles. Hence why we tend to compensate and use more of our upper abdominal muscles. And this will come into play whenever you're doing like a leg reach out, a hollow hold with using more of your legs, or a dead bug, all of these different exercises where your neck isn't really in play, but you'll almost want to tighten and curl your neck to help you engage these uppermost abs to then help you engage your lowermost abs. And so one of the things that you can do to assist this is just changing your position, especially if you're doing these on the floor, is adding a support under your head. And it sounds simple. It sounds like it wouldn't do much, but it helps just raising your head up a little bit, changing the upper back posture a little bit, where it's instead of just flat on the ground, you're now here, which you're thinking, oh, well, that's probably not the best position for me to do these things. Well, actually, it helps you to have a better position for your abs if you're just a little bit curled. And that will help you turn on those abdominal muscles a little bit better and help you relax your head because it's supported. And you also can feel it supported a little bit more because the weight will change of your head on the pillow. And also if it's on the pillow or a towel. If you're in the gym and you don't have a pillow just hanging around because it's not typical to carry a pillow with you everywhere, you can just use a towel. And using the towel underneath your head lifts it up just a little bit too. You can also put it underneath the upper part of your back, and that helps with that full posture change. But you'll notice when you start to lift up from it, and will help you with relaxing up through here. Again, your breath work that we talked about in number 1 will also help with this as well. Number three goes into a antagonist-agonist relationship. Or if I have my bicep and I'm wanting to curl my bicep, I need my tricep to turn off, right? Because otherwise I'm just going to be stuck wherever they're both wanting to work. And it's not going to help me to actually fully do the bicep curl. And so I need my tricep to relax. That's the reason why we have a reflex in our body that as I'm using one muscle, the antagonist muscle gets a signal going up. It goes up to your spinal cord and then back down to the muscle and says, hey, I need you to stop working and turn off because we're trying to use the other muscle on the other side. And this helps us to get the movement pattern done. What it does for our core control or abdominal control is a lot of times we are doing an ab exercise and we feel our back overpowering it. We feel it controlling, we feel it starting to take over. Well, if it starts to arch and take over, what is our body telling the front muscles to do? Knowing this agonist-antagonist muscle relationship, what's telling it to turn off? Because it's actively arching back there and turning on to go into that stable position. Because your body may know that as a stable, strong, trusted position, but it's not actually helping you to strengthen the other muscles that you want to strengthen. It's good because it gets the job done. You can actually do the exercise now, but a lot of times it'll make your back sore, it'll make your hip flexors sore, and you'll pay for it the next day or even that same day. And it's not beneficial for you to actually even do that exercise. So one thing for this third thing is that we need to either step back the exercise a little bit, make the exercise a little bit easier. So your brain says, oh, I can use these muscles in the front to help me with curling and doing a little bit of a posterior pelvic tilt, pressing that back towards the ground. It doesn't have to like slam into the ground. But I need it to be useful for the front muscles if you are doing a front muscle exercise. If you are doing a core exercise that works more of your back, you want to be still and stable and think about more of a core sit activation versus a back arch or a front arch type of gig or a front crunch. And so that's where you get your supporting structure of that cylinder all the way around, because I'm sure you're thinking, well, my core just isn't my front abs, Liz. It's my back, everything that you just talked about in step 1. Yes, agreed. And so that's why whenever you're doing different exercises, you need to understand what it's for. Why are you doing it? Is it more of a front abdominal core exercise? Is it more of a cylinder core exercise? Is it a back strengthening exercise? What are you using here? And what is the purpose of that exercise? So as you're doing a more abdominal focused core exercise, we need to turn off your back. We need to let it chill. And if your brain is so used to using your back, then doing easier exercises to even warm yourself up, just maybe even 5 reps of each side, not extending your leg out quite as far if you're doing like a leg lower, or starting with that and then doing a hollow hold that's a little bit harder, knees to bars, toes to bars, all of these different things to help you with using your body the way that it was meant to be used and strengthened versus the patterns that you have gained to get shit done. And you need to rewrite those to strengthen your core and make you as functionally strong as possible. I hope this was super helpful. If you liked this type of content, then hit subscribe, comment below if you have any other tips that you personally like to use, and I'd love to hear them, and I'll see you next time.